I love it.
Yeah,
I'm
he's,
recording.
oh, now they're actually, yeah, now they're doing Call of Duty. So there we go. Okay, so get ready for yelling in the background of this conversation.
That's still a thing.
Still apparently a thing. Yeah, it's
I've had like
okay.
babies crying in the background before, like my neighbors fight. So that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Oh, well, that's fun. Yep. No, we'll be, I know you're used to it with yours, so we're totally fine. It just makes it more organic, right? It's
It's
totally cool.
right. I know. That's my thought. So I was like, well, why not?
All right, go for it.
I know. Well, I always thought that it was one of my favorite stories that I've heard from you that I think is so interesting is that you were bartending and then someone came up to you and approached you and then like your life just changed completely,
Yeah.
right? So kind of like what's the whole backstory? Where did everything kind of start for you to get you to where you are now? Is what I'm really curious about.
Oh gosh. Okay. It's a long story. I'll try and make it shorter in the fact that people can actually benefit from it. Um, so, I mean, I grew up on a farm, so I was an only child, very secluded, didn't have many friends, honestly, and I was very, very quiet, and I was very, very shy, and I didn't speak through high school. I opted out of every speech class. I was not um, I didn't like having the focus on me in that sense. Like it made me feel really uncomfortable. And I always felt like I was being judged or picked on. So I kind of avoided it. And then I showed horses. So that was my sport. But that was you and an animal that was, 1,200 pounds. So you had this empowerment that came from being an equestrian. And so when I competed, I had all the confidence in the world. Like I was great, did great, and I loved it. But when it came to like just me, totally different story. So I moved from Michigan to Virginia the day of my 20th birthday. So I had received a job with Lord and Taylor, which is the department store. I don't know, you have had them in some of the areas you were in, and they're still open, but they had transferred me here thinking that I was 25 years old and I was running their department store and their visual merchandising. So I got hired on as the manager to open the store. So I
Oh,
had to come
nice.
down here and hire this team, and I had zero, knowledge of what to do. So I just kind of, got into it, but ultimately I learned a lot in those, 6 years with them, and I grew a lot and had to present in front of obviously our management team and got a little bit more comfortable with that, but started bartending because I didn't, well, one, I wasn't of legal age, so I couldn't get in anywhere. So I had to start in a restaurant so I could go out at night. So I was 20, working as a cocktail waitress, and then that turned into bartending and meeting more people. And I loved doing it because I had moved to a different state. I could create this kind of new confidence or persona, and I had control being behind the bar because you can control the situation. You're in charge. You can walk away when you want. You don't have to talk to people if you don't want to. So, it was a way that I learned. I called it my, it's like my 50-cent tour to like psychology, because I got like, all this input of all these people's brains every day, and it was awesome. And that turned into me becoming more comfortable and more confident. And as I hit my mid 20s, one of my bar customers was actually a marketing agent. So he had a marketing agency here in Virginia, and he did a lot of local commercials, just, the small cheesy car ones you see on TV, and told me because I could talk for long periods of time and memorize things that I would be really good in commercials. Now it took him, gosh, I want to say like it was 3 or 6 months to convince me to do a commercial because I was so scared.
Wow.
It was horrible. It was painful. It was debilitating. I was shaking. I was going to throw up. But, at that point, I had already done a lot of photography stuff and I enjoyed being in front of a camera. I just didn't want to talk. And so I figured I've already come this far, so I might as well challenge myself and do it. So I did it. And that led into 2 years of commercials with him. And that ultimately led to the manager of our TV station here locally coming into one of my bars and sitting there for 30 minutes, not saying who he was, and ultimately offering me the chance to come and work for the station. And this was back in, gosh, 2007. So they just had me come in, and I said, you know what the hell? Like I've come this far with the commercial stuff. I'm getting better. not great. I'm getting better. I know nothing about, TV news, but I can learn anything. So so I went, and I ended up, out of 44 people who all had journalism experience, I was the one who got the job. So it
Oh
was
my,
pretty scary.
wow.
So
So
that's
did
the
they,
story.
that is amazing. I love that. I never knew that about you, that you had this like fear and you're really uncomfortable when you were younger.
Yeah. Here, oh, there's a creeper. Creeper. My child is here. Hi, can I help you?
Hi.
Hi. What do you need, sir?
We can't enter in the Microsoft account for our Call of Duty game.
Okay, I'll enter it in after I'm done, okay? Thank you. See, I told you, Call of Duty passwords. All right. But yeah, no, so I guess, you guys, you've seen me after being through all of this. So nobody really, when they look at someone and they just assume 100% not true, probably 99% of the time for most people. Like most people they didn't start where they are. Obviously, you know that. So it was a really big growth thing for me to be able to do that.
And I love that it was initially through bartending too.
Yep. So that's why I always call it from the barn to behind the bar to behind the anchor desk. So it's the weirdest
Oh,
transitions, I think, of anybody. And, but, it allowed me to have all these different lives and actually understand everything that goes into hard work in pretty much any business. So that was why, I'm grateful for it, even though the first part of it really sucked.
the debilitating part. So do you remember what your first commercial was?
Yes, it was, God, you know what? I don't even know if I have a clip. It was called a local mattress store, and it was for Mattress USA.
Uh-huh.
So,
Do you still remember your lines?
oh God, I don't even know. All I know is that my legs were shaking so bad they had to put me
Oh,
behind the mattress, and I had to stand behind it, like looking over. And it was pretty terrifying, and it was really bad.
oh, that is hilarious. And it, like you said, it is so cool to see you now just like being completely comfortable with yourself in front of the television, doing everything that you're doing, and just knowing where you came from and how your first steps were. So like, what do you feel like was the big shift? Like what made you more comfortable? Do you feel like it was just like an aha moment or just a slow progression?
I think age. Honestly, when we're in our early 20s, all we want to do is have everybody like us and, be included and feel like we fit in somewhere. And I think that my fear of judgment or not being liked, that I get along with everybody. And it's hard. It was always hard for me to understand why people weren't nice. And I could never understand that. So as I grew from dorky kid to somewhat more womanly person, you dealt with that a lot. So I didn't want to put myself out there just because I didn't want people not to like me. I didn't want them to think that I was trying to showboat, or I was trying to think that I was better than, or I don't like that misconception. So once I got into television in general, into the news business, I think it was probably, I would say it was a good few years in, because I wasn't super comfortable for a long time. But once it hit where, and I'm not going to curse on here, when you don't give a crap about what people think, and you realize you're just talking to them, that's when your presence or your personality shifts on camera. So you have to just stop acting like you're selling something and being an anchor. We all, like, you see everybody on TV and you can tell the people you like to watch. They're the people who just talk to you. They're not sitting there going, and if you are, like, they don't have the voice. It's the people who are actually just really don't care. Like, they're just doing their job and they're having a good time. And I think that's when I realized that I just was like, screw it. Like, I'm not going to try and impress everybody anymore. And that's when I, was promoted to anchoring, and I moved up. And, I really just, because I didn't care what they thought as much. I do care, but there was nothing I could do about it. So why not just have fun? So when I started doing that more with my team, that's when we were really good.
Right. Yeah. Things started to all come into play. But
Yeah.
like, it's, I guess what stands out to me the most is a lot of times, like when I work with people, it's confidence. It is kind of like, how do you get from that point of I feel uncomfortable doing this, or I care what people think, to being like, okay, I don't give a shit. Because like inside, you know, and you try to tell yourself, but overcoming that fear is harder than you
Yeah.
think. Do you feel
Oh,
like there
yeah.
was anything that you did specifically? Like, did you say, like, make that an intention and work on it daily, or what
Yeah.
kind of helped you to get to that point?
Well, I mean, I was lucky because my mom is a very confident person. She's
Is
always been
she?
very confident. And she was very hard on me as a kid, like as far as performance. Like, you know, we always had, you know, you always wanted to win. You weren't always going to win, but both of my parents are very competitive athletes. And so they are, you know, amazing athletes. And my mom went to, you know, college on a track scholarship. Like she played every sport known to man. She played football, she played basketball, she played volleyball, she did track, everything. And my dad's just a really good volleyball player. So I grew up with them, you know, I guess the sportsmanship side of things, where you learn, like, you know, especially through good coaches, you learn,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you have to do your best every day. It really doesn't matter what the outside circumstances are. You have to perform. I mean, you have to be able to channel, perform. And if you win, you win. If you lose, you have to be humble, and you have to respect that you're not always the best. There's always someone better. You just have to keep trying to do the best that you can. So when I got to that, like, I guess the fear part of not wanting to talk in front of everybody, it was more so that so many people had told me to do it and told me I was going to be good enough. So they were like, you've got this, like, you have this talent, you just don't really see it. And I didn't. I mean, you know, nobody does. You don't want to think that you're going to walk into it and be good. But I just started really, like, my mom's thing was, if something scares you, you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again until you get, I mean, eventually you get used to anything. We get used to violence on the TV. We get used to, you know, if somebody's in a bad situation, they start to get used to it. You kind of tune things out. It's the same with fear. I mean, you just have to get used to the fact you're going to be uncomfortable. And I knew that I had it in me. I just had to keep doing it until I was good. So it really wasn't like a fear of failure. It was just a fear of, you know, judgment until I got to that point that I was comfortable. And once you get past that breaking point in anything, sports, your job, I mean, once you get to, it just feels so much better. But you have to it literally is repetition. I mean, consistency and repetition. It's the same with exercise and nutrition and everything else. You just have to keep doing it every single day until you're not afraid. You know, I'm still afraid of heights. Like, that's one thing I've never been able to conquer. But if I, you know, stood in the same spot every day, closer to the edge every day, I would get used to it. And I know that. That one I'm choosing not to conquer. But I think
pick and choose your battle.
I'm picking and choosing my battles. But that's really it. You just have to keep doing it. And that's what I did. I just showed up every day, and you work as hard as you can. And I think that's, you know, people lack that nowadays, you know?
Right. Yeah. I think it's so much harder. And I think with social media, especially now, it's like that comparison factor. So it's almost like you get on there and you dream up kind of what it is that you want to accomplish. You don't even actually go take action because maybe you don't even know where to start, or you have that fear and you don't really know how to overcome it. But like you said, sometimes you don't sit with it. You just like go out there and do it. And if it sucks, it sucks. And it's not the end of the world. Like, you move forward and that's what it is. But you know, I will say I've gotten to know you so much better this past year, and you're just like a breath of fresh air. I just love being around you. And I think that it inspires me, because I like, this is kind of off topic a little bit, but I think it all kind of goes into like how sometimes we make excuses because we have that fear, those insecurities. And like, when I became a mom, it was like life got 10 times crazier. I was like, how do I like even function right now? You know what I mean? Or like, how do I feel like I'm still a good mother and being taken care of, but then also, you know, go after my own goals and ambitions and pursue what it is that I want. And I think that you do a lovely job of that. Because I know when you were on the news, what you were getting up at like 3:00 in the morning, like it was insane. Yeah. And
I mean,
I know
it's bad.
and we'll get there too, because I know it was a revelation for you. Like, you know, that's what I've seen in the past year, is that shift from like you know,
Yeah.
now I get more time to spend with my babies and whatnot. But for you, I mean, how your kids are probably not.
They are now 6 and 11. So I went through both pregnancies on air. So
Oh my
yeah, which
gosh.
is also pure hell because people are not nice. So being pregnant on air is not a fun thing. And you do look much larger in HD. So it was, and everything looks much larger in HD. So there was a lot of comments. um, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
They're not nice. People are, you know, I mean, people, and it's not, and it's that I know you go through this with people you work with too. Like we focus on the negative. Like I can have 99 positive comments in one day, but that one negative comment is the one that you focus on just because it riles you up and gets to
So
you.
true.
So,
Yeah.
and again, you get all these good comments. They just kind of blur into this nice fluffy cloud and you're like, oh, it's this beautiful, you know, okay, this is great. And then this one thing sticks out. And so that's all you focus on because you're used to all of this. It's become desensitized. So this like lightning bolt of hate is the one thing you focus on, and people are trying to, you know, I mean, I had horrible things said, and
Wow.
it takes a lot to deal with the public in general, and it's exhausting. Just trying to be, you know, nice all the time to people who are pretty much just rude a-holes, like they're not, you know. But it was very difficult to come through that part. But I get the mom guilt is like the worst thing on the planet. Like I had mom guilt every day. It sucked. Yeah.
That is so interesting. And I'm so glad that you brought it up because that was something that I wanted to talk about because you were saying like you had that fear of judgment. And
Yeah.
then here you are, you finally step into your own and then you're pregnant and it's just like supposed to be this wonderful time in your life. And it is very interesting. It does blow my mind that people go out of their way to like sit behind a computer and type to hurt someone else. And like, you know, my brain goes into like, what's going on in their head that they need to place that on somebody else. But at that point, do you feel like you were secure enough with yourself? And like you were saying, there's that negativity bias and like there's still that part of like, oh, I'm reading all these nice comments, so what? And then you look at that one and then that messes with your day. You know what I
It
mean?
does.
That's why mindset is such a huge thing. And obviously, in my opinion, I'm
Your
kind of
business,
biased. Because I think that's really important too, because it's a factor into like whether or not you succeed, because I've seen it time and time again where people focus on that negativity and then it holds them back from really stepping into their own and pursuing what, you know, I see other people see in them, but they can't see in theirs because they're so fixated on that. So like, can I ask, like, were they giving you is that where the mom guilt came from? Were they giving you a hard time?
No, it wasn't. And actually that part wasn't the bad part. It was more so, and that's the sad part, when you obviously put yourself out there, whether it's as, you know, fitness model or, you know, on TV, those type of things, you are a public figure. People feel that you are this kind of more of a statue, not really a real person, and they can say whatever they want because you're putting yourself out there, so therefore you must want to be judged. And I think they feel that way. I don't, because they just think, and there's also a disconnect because they think that you're not real. Like they see it like, you know, we see like celebrities in movies. If we saw them in person, there's that weird feeling because you're like, oh, I think I know them, but I only know them as this character. I don't really know them. So you just feel like they're also don't have time to respond to you, so you can say whatever you want. Well, unfortunately, in local news, it's a very small business, and you're in the community every day. And we made a point of responding to everybody. So when the bad comments come in, it hurts because we're literally giving so much because one, the schedule sucks. Two, you really don't get paid that much. So you're basically putting yourself out there for a normal wage job. It's not like, you know, we're out there making money. And that's another misconception, as people think, oh, you know, and they would get mad because our little local news reporters who can barely pay their rent can't tip you a bunch. Like they assume you're rich and you have money. Another assumption, totally not true. Most people are just breaking even and trying to save for their 401k. Like it's really not that, it's very difficult business. So when people do say that, you're basically putting yourself out there every day with no sleep, trying to do your job, trying to, you know, and it hurts. It really did hurt. So the pregnant, I'll tell you the comments because these are a couple good ones that people will appreciate. My first pregnancy, I was on bed rest for 3 months. So I was immobilized completely. So I actually wasn't on air for the worst of it or the biggest portion of my pregnancy, which was a good thing.
Yeah.
But the second pregnancy I was, which meant I was more established and I'd been on for, almost 5-6 years at that point. So I had most of the emails that were hurtful were from women, which was very disheartening to me, because you know how much like we all support women so much. I don't care what your job is or what you do. If you're proud of it, do you. But one wrote in because, you know, nowadays, I guess maternity wear is more fitted. You know, you wear like the fitted shirts, you wear the fitted pencil skirts. And I remember this day perfectly, like literally etched in my brain because of this. Pink shirt, long sleeve, peplum kind of top, so it was kind of ruffly around my stomach. Black pencil skirt that went below my knees, black boots that came up to almost the skirt, and a little bit of a fishnet kind of stocking that was showing. And the woman wrote in that I was a disgrace to all women because I was showcasing my stomach in tight clothing, and I looked like a Las Vegas hooker. And I should be walking the streets of Vegas making money, not on a newscast. That was one of the comments. And literally, she's like, she's in a mini skirt with fishnets. And I'm like, so I'm in a skirt that's below my knees. You can't see anything on my body, but in her mind, just because people do that, they see what they want to see. And that's what I started to realize how skewed people's vision was when they see you on anywhere, even on social media, because they'll make up whatever they want, even if it's not true. And that was 100% not true. And they still sent it to my entire news department so everybody could read that I look like a hooker. So that was great. But you know, that's the kind of thing when you get to that point where you start realizing how ridiculous these people are, and you're like, wow, you have a really shitty life. Like if you're doing this to other people, then you really are sad. So we would just kill them with kindness. That was the one way that we knew. And I'd write back to every female that wrote something in about, you know, your boobs are disgusting because they're so big, you're pregnant, you shouldn't be putting them out there. Like those kind of, I mean,
right.
Yeah. And I would write back to every one of them, like, it is so sad to see another woman hate on someone who's going through something, buying their own clothes with no budget, trying to look good every day, feeling like shit. And you're going to come in and say this. I said, I feel bad for you for hurting other women this way. And I hope you have an amazing, blessed day because you deserve it. You need that in your life because I don't. And so we just kill them with kindness and a little bit of sarcasm.
Right. Yeah.
A little bit.
Bless your heart. I know all about that.
Bless your heart. Have a blessed day, sweetheart. You are just so precious. So you have the better accent for that than I do.
It comes out.
But that's, you know, so that's what we learned was, you know, my coworkers got hateful messages too. So you just realize that those people really had nothing else in life. So once you realize that, you just hope and pray they get through it and move on with your life and start to focus on the positive because
don't let it affect yours.
It's hard.
Well, I find that actually very interesting that you guys you had to expose yourself to it, because I think a lot of times when we have that negativity, we're just like, ignore it, avoid it. But sometimes you have to face it. So I was recently reading an article. It was by Albert Ellis, and what he came up with is like all these people have different avoidance behaviors, and sometimes you have to like face it, and then he gives you like different ways that you can face it. And then the one specific avoidance behavior, he gave an example where this lady played tennis with this other lady, and she was being incredibly rude to her, and she wanted to just avoid that person, but instead he told her, go back to her and get to the point where she doesn't affect you anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's all about reframe. We'll get to that. your mindset about like, okay, I can still, okay, it froze for a second. I got nervous. I can still expose myself to this instead of avoiding it. And then I'm better in the long run because I can get to the point where it doesn't even faze me anymore. Like I can move on with my day. So I love, like, it's kind of crazy to me that you have to sit there and like comment on every single one. When I was a bit thrown back when you said that, but it's like, it probably made you better for it because now it's like on to the next, like moving on, you know?
Yeah. They get less, you devalue those people, like in your mind, you're devaluing them because again, you're responding, you're doing your part, and that's all you can do. And you, at the end of the day, for most of us, if you're trying to deal with you know, crappy boss at work or like that mean female coworker or whatever,
Mhm.
because, and I think that's just because of my mom being such a strong woman. Like she's, you know, she looks like Wonder Woman. She's insanely strong. She's not afraid to say anything to anybody. And, you know, she curses a lot. Like that's just her.
Kind of
But,
woman.
yeah, I mean, but I saw how she always like, and that's the other thing. I don't think that even though you may not come into it, if you're around people or you watch the right people or you read the right things, eventually, I mean, you're absorbing it. So even if you're quiet and you don't want to speak up, eventually you'll know how to. Like, I think you just have to keep filling your brain with all these tools. And when you need it, they'll be there. I mean, I don't think it's, you know, I just got to a point that because I was physically strong, I had a little bit more confidence. So I do think like the weights and being able to lift heavy, you know, that does make you more confident overall of confronting people because you don't feel as intimidated.
Yes.
So that part, I think, you know, especially with women, and my mom was always like, you know, every day, stand up, shoulders back, chin
Look at
up.
me.
Like, yeah, see, you're doing, yep. That's
Uh-huh.
every day.
How
You
you're
don't-
present,
yeah,
how you carry yourself.
yeah. You don't walk into a room unless you're standing like this. And because if you do that, immediately people put that in their brains. Okay, can't screw with her. We're good. Like we're good. I'm not gonna mess with her about it. And then when you do confront them about it, you don't have to be mean. I mean, there's no reason for it. May's now the dog wants to go out. Go sit down. But it's
Great
you know,
too. Yeah.
yeah, it's one of those things that, you know, I'm gonna move to the bedroom because we're gonna go for a walk because the dog is and they're listening to the game.
Yeah,
You know?
I love that though, because I think sometimes we have that mentality of like, why me? Like me, you know? Why do people pick on me, or why am I getting this? And then
Yeah.
you know, you got to pay attention, like how are your mannerisms, like how are you carrying yourself?
Yep. I think, and it's, you know, it's not that you have to be rude or cocky or any of these things. I'm trying to get light in the bedroom so I can just move in here. But it's, yeah, I don't think you have to ever be rude or obnoxious to people. I just think that, you know, you have to have those boundaries. We talked about boundaries a lot. Like you just have to say, like, I'm not going to let you ruin my damn day because you're insignificant in the end and your opinion doesn't matter. So I think that was the biggest lesson. Well, with bartending, and because you always had to make people feel comfortable, especially women, because, you know, any intimidating situation with another woman, women get so defensive. And there's never any reason for it because like every woman that's ever done that to me, I've ended up having either friendships with or great conversations. And I'm like, so just because, you know, we just need to learn that we don't have to be defensive all the time about all these things in life. That one person is it just drives me absolutely crazy. So that's what I learned was just, confronting people and being direct with them was literally the easiest way. And I don't deal with bullies well. I was bullied as a kid. I don't put up with it now. And if I see anyone doing that to anyone else, I'll be the first person that's going to say something. And just because those are the people who do need that. They need to be shut down. Like they just don't, they have this like really sad thoughts about themselves that they think that they're invincible. And I cannot stand that. you know that by now.
True story. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, like the whole time you're talking, I was just thinking, you know, it goes back to hurt people. And if you know that, you know, sometimes we try to make sense of other people and try to understand why they're doing or saying things to cause pain on others. And when you start to understand people, you know, it's coming from a place of insecurity or it's coming from a place of pain and hurt they haven't dealt with and they just don't know how to cope with their issues. So I think when we stop taking it personally and realize that that's something inside of them that they need to work on and like not try to help them, but let, you know, I mean, I guess in every situation it's different, but I think sometimes we hold on to like wanting to help others so much if we're the type of person that's giving. And sometimes you just got to like let them figure it out and not like put so much energy. Because at the end of the day, if you're putting your energy into like other people who are draining it, then you can't go and be yourself fully and do what it is that you're supposed to do to live out and fulfill your full potential and help other people in the way that they need to. So that's highly important. And I want to get to like all these other great things that you're doing. You kind of touch base on them because let me tell you about this woman, people. Not only is she a full-time mom and a news anchor and getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning every day, like no excuses. She was also super into fitness and doing all kinds of really great you have, let's see, your YouTube channel, right, Kristen?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And
Got that. I haven't put much on there in the past few months because after leaving work, we dived into the next thing. So that is on hold.
exactly. I was getting there. That's where, I mean, and I just, I always ask people like, what is your why? Because, you already have like the news anchor, like you've already doing this big thing that most people would dream of. You've already stepped out of that comfort zone. You could have
Yeah.
been fulfilled. Like you could have stopped there, but you didn't. So what was it that got you like in the gym and really into fitness and health and wanting to help other people in that way?
Well, mainly because, I mean, we kind of touched on it. My parents were both athletes. Like I grew up on a farm. We had weight machines. I grew up baling hay, everything required a lot of strength for a very little person at that time. So, when you could lift almost your body weight when you're like 9, 10 years old, it's pretty good. But it did cause a slew of problems, back problems and things like that for me, because again, back in the day, we weren't super educated about lifting and working out. We all did stupid things. We were on cardio machines for hours, doing the dumb shit, hydroxycut, all the crap that like we thought, we all remember back in those early 2000s. And, so that was when I was coming into fitness because I was doing some swimsuit stuff, not like we know bikini competitions now, but like the old school ones, like for, Venus swimwear and those type of things. So I did all those, and because it was a way again for me to be confident but not have to talk, and I could be out there. Like I was fine in a bikini and clear heels, but I couldn't talk in front of a crowd. It was the saddest thing ever.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big difference. Yeah.
It's still a big difference. And so, but during that time, I was using fitness as a way of more of an external, like I just wanted to look good and, have this presence. And again, find this false confidence to try and get through, moving to a new city and being by myself and not having friends. And, so that was just my way of coping. And I'd always been physical. So that was, obviously I was very grateful that I learned, fitness was a big part of your life to stay healthy. Not that I was doing it the best way, but I at least was moving every day and I was doing something. After my kids, I had very high risk pregnancies. So I was hospitalized for the first one, like I said, and then the second one, I was on modified bed rest, which meant I went to work. I couldn't stand for all my hits, so I'd have to do them from a chair. And then when I got home, I had to lay down the rest of the day and couldn't move. So I made it through that pregnancy, which was amazing, and stayed at work the whole time. But because of my high risk stuff, I was not allowed to move or exercise or do anything. So basically, when you got 9 months of knowing you have nothing to look forward to, you just eat. Like that was my saving grace. And so with both pregnancies, I gained around 50 solid pounds. Like it wasn't baby water weight, it was actual weight because I couldn't move. So after both pregnancies, I started at square one again because it was the atrophy and your muscles are gone. So after the second one, which was 2013, I finally invested in a trainer, and I went back to, went through several of them until I found the right fit. And I found my friend, Brian, I've known forever, and he's just a very knowledgeable trainer, and he's been doing it for 30 some years, and he knows everything about muscle and muscle building safely without getting hurt. Cause again, I have the back injuries, shoulder injuries, my knee, my foot. So I'm very limited on what I can do. So he taught me everything. And when I started to realize that I could lift heavy weight, because I thought with a back injury, you can't lift anything. So he was like, we're going to get you to leg press safely. And I was like, there's no way in hell I'm going to be able to leg press any weight with back surgery. There's no way.
Yeah.
And he worked I've worked with him for years now. And I think it took us about 12 or 14 months to get from point A, which was me needing to lose like the last 30, 40 pounds, to point B. So point A, I started at like 200 pounds on a leg press. And I was like, God, this is hard. This is so hard. I could barely do it. We found the right footing, the right angles, so it wouldn't hurt my back. And my max leg press with him ever was 900 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
So to say that you can't do something because of an injury or an excuse is bullshit.
Yeah.
And also the fact that if you find the right person, educated people, you follow, you learn the right things instead of listening to the hype. So when I realized how strong I could be, and then I just kept pushing it. And eventually, I mean, I don't push it that hard now, but it was just a challenge. And I built all this muscle, which made me happy because I was in that mindset of, I don't want to do all the heavy weights because I don't want to have big biceps. And I love my big biceps and I love all of it now because I didn't get bulky. Like I just got stronger and stronger. So I wanted, and I actually battled postpartum depression naturally. I refused to take drugs. The drugs made me sick and I tried to take antidepressants and I would cry every day and it was horrible. And I was back at work already and couldn't even breastfeed because I would just cry. And it was postpartum is not fun. And I didn't really, back then, I didn't post much about it, but going to the gym and going to like hot yoga and doing like that breathing and it was the only two things that worked to get my symptoms to go away. So I just did more of it until they were gone. So I just kept going. And that's why I became so passionate about sharing the food and the fitness because, I mean, I had all the same misconceptions everybody else does and proved every one of them wrong. And, now I just want people to actually know what works without all the bullshit. And so that's why I did it. And that's why I moved into the fitness realm. And then I met all of you amazing people, which made me want to do more and more and more. And it was just, it was where I was, I guess, supposed to be.
Yeah. You just had to go through all the different times in your life and different seasons to get to that point. I think that's really cool. I thank you so much for sharing. I think, people see where you're at now and it's like you go on Instagram and you see this beautiful woman and you have these kids and this husband and like your life just looks so perfect. And to kind of hear you talk like, hey, like I went through this postpartum where I was crying. It was such a hard time in my life. I think that it's really nice to hear people like you open up and just talk about what you did to get through that time in your life and how you got to where you are now and why you're so passionate about what it is that you do.
I love it. I don't, and my life is good because I intentionally make my life good every day. My life could be, there's so much shit that happens that I could be upset about and I just choose not to because my life is this way because I am positive every day about stuff. Like I have to tell people that like you can't, my life seems pretty perfect. And to me it is because I have literally spent 40 years cultivating my life to be a certain mindset and to not put up with certain things. And so literally, it is that good because I made it that way. And I did every day I worked my ass off until this point. And now I have the opportunity to give back. But it's not that it was like, easy. It's just that every day I was grateful. I was grateful that I got to go to work and scrub the floor. Like I was grateful for every single bit of it every day because I was making money. I was self-sufficient. I wasn't poor. I looked at it, so I
love that. Well, I love that you didn't stay stagnant too, because I mean, and opportunity did come your direction, but it wasn't without the hard work, and there was a little bit of push, but that's what I see often is there's that fear of jumping to the next part of your life because what if I fail? What if I suck? You know what? Like you're gonna fail and you're gonna suck, and if you can change your mindset, like this is really uncomfortable and it sucks, but I'm not going to get to the level that I want to get at until I do this, and it's really cool. I think what's so beautiful about it is like you see someone who has grown and turned into this confident person and they come into a room and you just immediately notice their presence and like you don't fuck with them.
There you go. You just that's my girl.
It's my podcast. I do what I want.
Do what you want.
But the cool part is like we're always growing. It's a constant. And I think if you kind of realize that, if you don't kind of put yourself in like this, I'm better than because I've gotten to this point, like yes, you have a lot of knowledge that you can help to benefit other people, but you're always learning from others too. So like this past year, it's so cool because I've seen you grow and step into your own in a completely different light that I'm not even sure you knew you were going to go into. And you just kind of opened up yourself and I like to say the universe.
I agree with that. Yeah.
I do too. I love Gabby Bursey. But anyway, what do you feel like in this season of your life over this past year? What did you feel like? How do you feel like you've grown and what have you learned just from what you went through this past year?
Yeah, this past year, I mean, we all learned a lot. You were in the same position at the beginning of the year, and you have like gone over and over, like the podcast and just the way you talk, because you're so real with everybody. And she's just the same way in person, just so everybody knows that.
Thank
So,
you.
just being a genuine person and actually caring about people is like the biggest step, I think, to anybody in business and success in general. But because of that, like I gave a lot like this year, I was trying to help everybody else in the group because I knew that I couldn't do much on my own yet. And because of that, of giving and giving, everybody repaid me with like coming up with the ideas of why don't we combine, I was like, I love to do events. Let's combine all the things that I'm good at with the restaurants, the TV. And, I used to be a visual merchandiser, so design and all that stuff. So it's like, let's just combine it. We'll create an event. And at our one mastermind getaway was when we sat in a circle and the WellFit Social was born. And it was before I even knew what the hell I was going to do with it, except do a couple little meetups. And, I decided to do it a month after I was leaving my job, which was crazy because I had 1 month to sell out an event. And we did it. And I had, people like Carmen that was in our group was the first person to say she was showing up, and she bought a ticket before I even had a venue and pushed me. So, I mean, finding people that push you as well is the significant part of it. You have to find a group of people in different realms that will push and support you. And that's what everybody did. And so I was like, well, let's do it. And it was great. And so the next event is coming up in January 18th. So soon, or this month that we're talking in. So it's, that's going to be the next big event. And, it's grown already from the last one. So it's just really putting it out there. And like you said, if you put things out there, like, the right people do show up. And people have been showing up every day for me in ways that I can't even explain, because it's not like I'm asking for it. But again, I gave for the past 20 years. I've helped everybody. I've paid for friends' schools. I've, I've let people live with, like, it's just, you have to give
and not
back
with like
people.
the intention of like, oh, I want to get something back because I'm doing this. It just happens to work that way.
Yeah, I was making decent money in my 20s. I owned a house very young. So anybody who needed to stay with me stayed with me. Like, I was always taking care of everybody. Again, I'm an only child, not super maternal, but I guess I am now. My kids.
I can see that. Yeah.
But I have to take care of people. Like, if you have something in abundance in general, whether it's time or money or food, like, I feed everybody. So I'm always like overfeeding and so yeah, I was very fortunate to do that, to give back for so long. And then all these people showed up in my life to give me, I'm not even really asking for a lot, but to me it's a lot that they just showed up.
Oh, yeah. There's so much there when you were chatting. I think, like, for me, what I saw in person, and even, what's so lovely is like something that you even shared because you are authentic and, you did put yourself out there and be vulnerable, is this career path that you went on. I mean, that was like your blood, sweat, and tears. That was, I mean, you went from like small farm town girl, like barely even talking to people, to like really owning that show and being this personality. And the thing is like talking about, I don't know if you say people pleasing to a degree. Yeah. But like, there's a part of, oh, you don't want people to hurt you, or like there's that fear of judgment. But then there's also the part of like letting people down, like you almost stay in a position that's comfortable because people, I mean, especially in the limelight like you're in, like they're kind of attached to you in this way. So that was big. I think that was like the biggest part of being like, okay, like I've got to move forward. And you almost feel like, feeling like you're not letting people down, and like, because you have this new journey, and hopefully they can see that and see what you're doing now. So do you feel like that's what the push was, like the other, like having that network of people in your corner, like kind of pushing you to move forward and progress?
Yeah. I mean, it's just, you have to go outside your, we get comfortable where we're at. We get comfortable with, or we think we have to keep what is right around us. Like, you feel like, okay, I have to be with my family. I have to, whatever. No, you don't. I mean, essentially you're your own person. You're responsible for everything in your life. You're the only one that's going to be there when you die. You're the only one that's going to be there when you're sad. It's all you. There's really no support truly from other people that matters.
Oh, thanks.
So yeah, like, I think that, but you have to be there for yourself. I think when you do that, then the other people start to show up. But within that
Mm.
little like bubble that you protect yourself with, you have to step out of it and find the people. Like, it's not, the people that are in your life in general, like at work, my coworkers are amazing. They're my family. And I felt bad leaving. Like, I felt guilt. Like, I felt I cannot let these people down. But I was told at a very like younger age in the restaurant business by a friend that was like, why do you think you're so important? Like, why do you think you matter so much? You're replaceable. Everybody's replaceable.
Wow.
You don't matter. You could be gone a week. They're going to have someone else in your position. It's going to be fine. You're not letting anyone down. So why are you sitting here like stressing about it? And
That's
that
love.
was one of the things and that's, my friends are all brutally honest people because I surround myself with brutally honest people. And so I stopped. I was like, you know what, you're right. Like and again, like back to sports, there's always someone better. There's always going to be someone stronger. There's always going to be someone faster. You can just be the best that you are. And that's not possible if you stay in the same spot with people. So I stepped out and found people online. And then that led me to our group of friends and then our little tribe of, get amped women. And that was when I walked in that room with 11 other women who are we're all strong personalities. Like, we're all very strong
Oh
personalities.
yeah.
But we all were so accepting. And I have never felt, walking into a room in general, I've never felt that comfortable in my life. And I knew that that was the moment that everything was going to change and that I was going to be like supported, like truly supported. Here, at home, like, people aren't in your realm, they may not understand, but that was the first time in my life that I felt truly like I belonged somewhere, which was weird after 40 years of life, that was finally the moment it happened, was in that room. But then that's what made me realize, I was like, I just have to keep going. And yeah, I love you guys so much. I'm gonna tear up. I always tear up at that.
I'm tearing up.
Sorry.
That's amazing.
But it's, I think that when you get to that point, you just realize that there are people out there. You just have to actually do something to find them. Like, I paid to travel, get out of my state, go to a different state, find people that I'm not, I would have never met. Like, here in Virginia, I would have never met any of you guys. Like, if I wouldn't have actually said, okay, I'm going to invest, thousands of dollars in myself and I'm going to go and travel and do this year, like, just because I want to. And that has brought me like tenfold, like, what it is. And it brought me like my business partner for this year. And like, it's just, that's the thing. You have to put yourself out there, whether it's travel or on the internet or just reaching out to people without like, just, saying, I respect you. Like, hey, if you need help with something, let me know. Not selling people, just being there for people in general. So that's made the biggest difference. And it gave me the confidence to quit my job, which I, didn't know if I was going to do. And so I left, and I've really honestly have not regretted or looked back one day since I walked out of that station.
That's amazing. I'm so glad you talked about that, because when I tell people about investing in the mastermind, they look at me like I'm crazy. Like, they're like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
But it's so interesting to me, because I guarantee you, if you look at their bank account over the past year, that they probably spent the same amount of money on Starbucks, the same amount of money on like bullshit, Doritos, whatever it is. And it's like, sometimes you need to take a step back and you need to invest in yourself. You need to really figure out what it is that you need to do. And you need those people in your corner, because it's hard to find people who understand and can be there and just support you and help you to build what it is that you might not even know what you want to build yet. But I love that. It's a game changer for sure. And I cannot wait to see all of the other like great things that you are going to do. And I wanted to talk more about WellFit Social. So this brainchild came to you when you were at our retreat, right?
Yeah. It was at our retreat in I want to say the one in June of last year. So I think that was the one in Arizona, or no, the one before that. So so the one that was in Arizona, that was where it came to me in our little group of writing on a big, we had just the big piece of paper and we were writing down ideas, and all these little names popped up, and we just, we came up with it all within like an hour, which was crazy. And now it's, I've got a community here. So we're just trying to build it on the East Coast. So anybody that's on the East Coast, our wellness community here is not as strong as the West Coast tribes. Like they've been doing it longer. but we have so much talent in our area, especially in coastal Virginia in general, North Carolina, you know, Maryland,
And in
all
New
of those
York.
areas. Yeah, and New York. I mean, just the East Coast in general. And New York City does it well because it's a big city and there's lots of people. But here we didn't have anything where people who cared about their fitness and wellness could network with other professionals and learn, and then hear from speakers who are really unbiased in their opinion and honest. And that's why the event in January is breaking through the bullshit, because, you know, every speaker is breaking through
I
the
love
bullshit excuses, like the diets and the fad diets and the keto and the, you know, all the things, the keywords, the buzzwords that everybody uses. Clickbait, like the clickbait sucks. I hate fake stories. I mean, being in the news, obviously we got bombarded. So I hate when people say fake news, because we worked our asses off to bring you good news most of the time. But again, they chose to focus on the negative, like everybody.
Preach.
Yeah. So you know, again, the WellFit Social is for everybody to be comfortable in fitness, because again, when I went back after baby number 2, I was 40 pounds heavier, felt like shit, didn't want to wear my gym clothes, was wearing baggy clothes, felt uncomfortable, didn't, you know, because again, I had to start over with 2 and 5 pound weights. And this is someone who could lift their own body weight and things. And I had to start over with 5 pounds being hard.
People don't think about that, the starting over journey. They think like it's just a one-time thing, and
no, it's
after
not.
baby, man, I was like, what happened?
Where is my stomach? Where is everything?
Yeah.
What happened to my hips? What are all this roadmap on my butt? Like all of it. Like it's all there.
I say it, but it was kind of like grieving, because I worked my ass off to like, you know, because like have this like fit bikini body.
Yeah.
And then I had a baby, and I was like, what? Like what
happened?
Yeah.
Yep. I feel it. Trust me. I feel it. And I was embarrassed.
Ego.
Like I wanted to sit in a corner and not be in front of anybody. And that was because I had spent my life being, you know, a size 4 and I was a size 10. Like again, everybody goes through it. And that's why every person, like I'm the first person at the gym. If there's someone I haven't seen before, or there's a woman that's starting, you know, because we all buy the cute light. Now leggings are great because we have so many options. Back then you had black. But I just, you know, I always go up and I'm like, oh, I love your shoe. I always say something positive, because I don't want them to see someone who they think is just, you know, and I know what I'm doing and I'm in there every day working out.
Right.
I don't want them to think that they need to be intimidated or they're not included in that process, because we've all been through literally from stage 1 up. Everybody who you see that looks good does not look like that all the time. They are eating donuts and all the crap. They're just lying about it on social media, and they don't want to show
Call
you.
them out.
They don't want to show you when their abs are covered up, because, you know, and I have friends that are in the fitness industry who like can't take their shirt off if they go somewhere, because someone's going to judge them because they don't look as good as their photos. And that's just
That's
sad.
unfortunate.
Like
our
bodies go through like cycles all year long. And as women, we go through cycles every month. So how can you expect to look the same? Like drives me crazy. I have people like I'm not as lean as I was like last year. So they'll say comments about that. Why? Like just
oh man, that's something.
I'm enjoying my food right now. Like just leave me alone. I'm still at the gym every day. I'm doing more than you are. So why don't you just try and keep up and keep going? Like just
focus on your shit.
Focus on your own journey.
Yeah.
But I just want women to feel very comfortable. And I think that women in general need to reach out to other women in that community, because it's finally growing thanks to Instagram, that women are loving muscle and they're loving their bodies, and which is amazing. But they just need to actually love their health, not just their body. Like you have to just be mentally healthy. You have to be, you know, internal, external. And that's what the WellFit Social came from, like representing all 3 sides of it. Like you have to have that to be healthy. Like it's no longer just the fitness body. That's like 2000s. Like we need to move past that.
Yeah. And I bet like it's so rewarding. I love going to those events, because it's like you kind of get to like take out all the crowd and all the noise and all the shit going on in your life, and you just focus on being there and being around that support system. And like, you know, you get to hear these special people speak to you, and you feel like they're speaking to your heart. Like you just feel like I needed to be here. I needed to hear this. And for you, like that's such a like rewarding feeling, you know, to feel like somebody really like took back something from what it is that you created, your brainchild. So like, you know, what responses, because you did the WellFit Social, the first one
in September.
Yeah. So what were some of the responses that you got from
So out of it, obviously a ton of positive responses, which was great. Everybody felt very comfortable and they all found someone to collaborate with in the room, whether it was like a gym or a juice bar or something. Like they all found things to do with each other, and ways to support each other. And that's the networking part, is finding a way to collaborate with people who are not in your realm. So people did find ways to work together, which was amazing. A couple of the women in there just after the event launched their own business because they felt so inspired. One of them is actually coming to Fitposium next year because of it, because she was like, I want to be part of this group of fitness people. And she even sent, I mean, she's amazing. And so I can't wait to see where she goes next year. And just more and more people reached out. The first two women who bought tickets to this event in January are both in their late 50s, early 60s. One of them has stage 4 cancer. And she wanted to come to the event because she just wants to be surrounded by positive wellness and just learn more about eating, because she's battling cancer right now and she's older. So, those resources weren't there for her early on. So that's the type of thing that it is impacting. Like those are the people it's helping. And there are personal trainers and nutritionists who come, but honestly, they only make up about 25-30% of the audience, which is what I wanted. I wanted them to be there to help find someone in the room that they can help, and without selling it, without selling themselves to someone, because it's just
That's
organic.
important.
Yeah,
That's very important, because I think we get caught up in that. Like,
yeah, we do.
And it's like people they can feel it, like
Yep.
this vibes. So
Yeah, so it just creates a stronger community here, and every one of the events is tied to a charity. So this one's tied to the food bank. So we're doing a food drive at the event because, as most people know, I'm big with charities. I've helped. I think I'm a part of like 15 charities, but this is because the food bank gets depleted on the holidays. They give out all their food. And then in January is their hardest month because they have to restock all the shelves. So most people don't realize that they go through these lulls where the people who rely on them weekly for meals don't have anything. Because, holiday meals are different than everyday meals. Every day at the food bank, there are families who show up to pick up their 2 bags of groceries. And that's every week of the year. And if they don't have that, then they don't have anything to eat. So, so the food bank is the beneficiary. So we're doing a big food drive. And so that's just a thing for anybody anywhere. Food banks in January really need help because they have nothing. You can always donate. Your money goes further than your donations. So $1 usually typically feeds 4 people at most food banks, which is crazy to think about. So
it is,
yeah, they can, because they get low cost meals, or they get deals with food service or distributors. So they can buy things at lower cost than you can in the store. So they can get a can of, corn that you pay $1 for, they can get for like 10 to 20 cents, so your money does go really far with those type of organizations. So they're a beneficiary, which is amazing. And I'm very excited. So, I have to give back at everything. And then, we're focusing this year big time on what you do, like as far as, cognitive behavioral therapy. That's going to be a big focus of the event.
Yes, incredible. I know. I actually got in touch with Jill, and I was like, because it's really interesting to me. I know I cut you off, but it got me all excited.
Because I said brain. Sarah's like, brain.
So true, so true. Well, okay, so like in my scope or my field, I think I kind of had this like brain, like I was stuck in this like weird place because I came from the fitness industry, and then now I'm kind of like in the sports psych field, and I don't ever really see like fitness looking models in like the psychology realm. So I was kind of like, can I show skin? Like, is that going to devalue, like I was stuck in my own head of like, not getting to that point where like, I don't give a shit what people think. And like, just being your true self. So it's really cool to see Jill be like this fitness, like also be this really intelligent, not that fitness people aren't intelligent, but sometimes unfortunately people, like you were saying before, people judge. I think she's the first person I've seen like that.
She is. And that's why she's speaking at the event in January. So her CBT Meets Fitness. Yeah. It's the first cognitive behavioral therapy program designed for fitness and nutrition. So it's geared towards fitness professionals. So for personal trainers or people like yourself, or that are coaching athletes, or people who are focused on their fitness, the exercises, and the only reason I've done her 30-day program already. And so they're more focused on really finding that voice in the CBT industry, because there is no one who does, like, even, you know, social services or social workers or even licensed psychologists. It's kind of a broader field. This is really narrowed down. And so I know that she'll do really well with getting that to fitness professionals, because that will actually help them actually make a difference in their clients' lives. Not just teaching them how to do bicep curls, but you're actually teaching them the why and the mental side that goes with it. And that's what creates long-term success. So I'm really proud of her for it. And I can't wait to have her speak on it, because she's just starting that this year and launching everything. So it's really kind of like seeing the beginning of something again, which is amazing. And I love working with her. So yeah, we're actually bringing that training into our retreats next year as well. So she's going to be doing the CBD side of the CBT. I always say CBD.
I know it's we'll go with it.
It's fine. It all helps you in the long run.
Right.
But yeah, so we're going to be actually presenting that in a program that we designed for next year. So it's just like I said, one thing leads to another and more doors open, and it's just absolutely incredible. So I'm excited.
It is. You two are just like, oh gosh.
We're crazy.
Yeah, like Wonder Woman and Superwoman, like gonna hit the ground running. It's incredible.
It's gonna be fun. I'm really excited. So, but we're both in the place, like, it's not a monetary thing, and it's not a like I said, I busted my ass for 40 years, so I have a house. Like, I am happy where I'm at, and now it's just time for me to focus on stuff that will help other people. And she's in the same spot because of the cancer and the MS, and you know, so it's just it's the right timing. Again, you have to trust the timing. It may not happen early in your life.
That's a good point.
Yeah, for me, my life is technically, this part of my life is starting at 40, which most people, you know, don't expect that.
I love everything you say. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm so glad that you said that too, because one, you have, you know, younger people who see social media and they think, okay, like, I just need to post pictures on Instagram every day and write like a couple of like cutesy stuff that I found from other people, and like next thing you know, I'm going to be making millions as like a fitness star, whatever. And then you have people who are like in their 30s who are like, oh, I'm too old, like I can't start over, I'm already established, like blah blah blah. Like, no, like it doesn't matter. I mean, I interviewed Swimming in Miracles, like Dean and Bobby.
Yeah, I love it.
And like, you know what I mean? And like anytime anybody tries to feed that bullshit to me, I'm like, have you heard about
Yeah, let me show you a page real quick, honey. Let's rewind. And
I love that you put honey in there.
Yeah, I do say that a lot too. But I feel more comfortable now than I ever have. I feel more comfortable with my body, everything else than I ever have. But I think again, age is the best teacher. I mean, you're going to learn more, but people, you got to give up that mindset. Like I hate the fact that people think that because, you know, there's decades of success, and it's not. I mean, there's no longer the decade of 20s to get married, and there's no longer the decade of 30s to own a home, and, you know, no longer in the 50s you have to retire. Like it's just all bullshit. Like I can't stand any of it. And my husband's, you know, older than I am. And he obviously still kicks my ass in the gym and makes me look bad most days. So I can't, like, age is completely irrelevant to pretty much everything in life at this point in our century, like where we're at, which is amazing. And yeah, social media. Well, I mean, look at the magazines. It just came out with Strong and Oxygen. Both women on those covers, Jamie and Jill, were both in their 40s. Like 2 covers of national magazines that were sitting on every shelf in the country were in their 40s.
So good. Looking better than they did in their 30s. Like,
I think so. I personally, I think so.
Absolutely.
It's crazy. So that I'm really glad that stigma is fading. But yeah, people, you just don't need to rush it. Like if you just work hard every day with stuff, I mean, it eventually will come to you. It could come to you in your 50s, for God's sake, 60s. Like it doesn't, like people are finding their new lives, you know, look at even those female bodybuilders we see that are like, didn't start training until they were in their mid 50s, and now they're like 80 and they can do more push-ups than I can.
No, it's so amazing. I just love it. It fills my heart. And like every time I ever want to make an excuse about, I'm a single mom or whatever, I just kind of like, nope, boss up. Like nobody's gonna feel sorry for you. Nobody's gonna say that you die alone.
I mean, that's the thing. You're ultimately responsible for your own happiness. No one is going to give it to you. It's not free. It's something that, you know, it may not be monetary, but it takes time. I mean, you have to do it every day. You say the mantras. I know you do to yourself too. Like you either you
Absolutely.
walk in a room and you're like, I'm a badass bitch. Like you say something to
Oh,
yourself. Like,
that's
you know
it.
you
That's
do.
it. You know it.
We all do it. And I can't say that we, you know, but it does help. Like you
It does.
mentally, when you tell yourself something, even, you know, even on the other end of the bad end of the spectrum, compulsive liars and things like that, they tell themselves that every day. So they truly believe it.
I
So,
have my alter ego.
yeah, I've seen some of it, just a little bit of it, just a little bit. And I love it. I think we all need that as women. I don't think we need to be ashamed in having both sides. Like, I think we can be all the things. Like, you can be sexy, you can be smart, you can
Yeah,
be, you know,
that's
athletic,
a
you can be
conversation.
lazy, you can be, like, you can do whatever you want in that day, just as long as you don't stay there. Like, you don't, that's not your whole personality. So I just try and have fun. And if I want to, you know, dress up, and then I feel great. And then if I want to be a slug all day, then I'll be a slug. And I'll be fine with that too. But yeah, I couldn't have been more blessed this year. And next year is just going to be so much fun.
Girl,
We're going to get you down here to Virginia at some point,
coming.
so you can come hang out and hopefully get to an event later this year. So yeah, it'll be fun. We're gonna be doing the retreats all over. So that'll be fun with the Reframe, as you said. So I'm excited about that. It'll be
Me
fun.
too.
Yeah.
I'm
So
thrilled. I just love everything that you're doing. And I'm curious, excuse me, but I'm curious to know, so if people want to find out more about you, all the million things that you do that are so wonderful, and how they the list goes on, and how they can get involved, where can they find you?
the easiest is it's Kristen Crowley TV on Facebook and Instagram.
That's with an E.
That's KRISTEN CROWLEY TV. And then Instagram. I also have the WellFit Social. WellFit Social. It's pretty easy. It's all one word. And then we have the Reframe Your Body and Mind. So that is the new one. That's the new baby for this year, and that's going to be where we're actually writing a book. So we'll let that out of the bag. So it's going to be the 5 steps to finding the 5 people that will change your life. So we're really, we've cultivated this entire program to help people organically and truly change their business and their branding and grow. And it's the way that we both, Jill and I, did it. So we're kind of combining all of my media PR and all of her fitness and psychology, and we're just mashing them together to create your little frame and your masterpiece. So it's going to be fun. So those are the 3 Instagrams, the easiest. And then of course, KristenCrowley.com. So any one of those, I think if you search, if you search my name, you'll probably find me in a news photo, some news, not the other one that sounded like NEWS.
Oh my God.
I said it out loud and I was like, that sounded really bad. You could find me in a nude photo. No.
You're like, wait, what?
News photo on Anchor Desk, but they all lead back to me. So you can find me pretty easily online. So we'll be working with the magazines this year, and we'll be doing so much fun stuff, and I'm so excited. So I hope that we, continue to grow like our tribe, like, you're reaching out to more people. I hope, it just kind of becomes infectious. Like, I hope it just spreads.
Absolutely. Amazing. I'm so glad that I got to catch up with you and hear
I
about all
know.
the great things. And like, I've heard bits and pieces of your backstory, but just, I had no idea that you were like this little shy girl, and like, oh, I just love it.
I could show you photos at some point. Trust me, it's pretty bad.
Please do. I cannot wait. Yeah. I want to
bad.
see like the first like commercials too.
Oh God. I have it somewhere. I'll have to, there's some bad ones. But I know I have them somewhere in like some old drive, like somewhere hidden that I don't want anybody to see, but I'll try and find them for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I just, I really strongly like what you have going on and what Carmen has going on with these events. And like, a lot of it, it's not completely women empowerment, but I am a strong believer in like women uplifting women. You guys, if you can be in Virginia and you can make it to this WellFit Social, like I swear it will change your life. Like, it's such a incredible thing. Everything that she's giving out, like she just does it from her heart, and she just genuinely cares about helping people to really tap into their own and like live a life that they're made for. And a lot of them even go on to like help other people, and it's like just this beautiful like circle. I don't know why I said circle. Lion King's on my mind, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, like start singing. All right.
But yeah, and she's such a sweetheart. So even if you want to contact her and say, hey, like I've gone through postpartum or anything, or I'm kind of stuck, feel free. I'm putting you out there, but
yeah, no, I talk to anybody. I have messages all the time.
You do,
I talk to everybody. I mean, when I left the station, I went through like 1,000 messages to respond to people of like, that said that they were like upset or, would miss me and things like that. I mean, because everybody matters. I mean, that's all we want. We all want to matter. So I think it's important to respond to people, but yeah, I'm an open book. If it's any questions about pretty much anything, I'm pretty blunt and honest. So if anybody has any questions about that stuff, like I'm happy to answer them.
So, yeah, you've always been there for me. That's for sure. I truly appreciate it.
I love you. You're amazing. And I'm so proud of you. And your daughter is probably the cutest thing ever. And I'm just so excited for you guys. So you'll have to bring her down here so she can play at the beach too. So
yes. Oh, Virginia.
Yeah.
I'm all about it. Well, thank you. I'm going to talk to you for a second. I'm going to turn this off and then I'll chat with you.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next week.